Okay, this is Toby from Heavyweight MMA here today talking with UFC number 9 women's flyweight, a very, very experienced MMA fighter who has fought in many organizations, IFC, Shooto, K Grace 1, Strikeforce, Moosin, Cage Warriors, Invicta, and of course UFC, where you're very much known from Syndicate MMA in Las Vegas, Nevada, the Happy Warrior, Roxanne Modafferi. That name is actually an Italian name, right?
It is, yes.
Yeah. So do you have much Italian sort of roots and everything or not?
Sort of. I can't speak Italian. I have been to Italy. I've met my cousins in Italy, in Calabria, southern Italy. And I've eaten a lot of Italian food at Christmas gatherings, but yeah. I guess I'm not as immersed in the culture as I could be.
Yeah. But you're immersed in other cultures. I've seen a bit of Japan, etc. Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just wanted to know, like I heard obviously through the grapevine that you're supposed to be on UFC 266 against Tatiana Suarez. I heard she injured herself, but maybe she was just scared of your submission ability. Could that be correct?
No, I'm so sad for her that she got injured. I was looking forward to welcoming her to the flyweight division.
That's it.
But unfortunately, that didn't happen. That sucks. I hope she gets better soon. But I have another opponent, so it's all good.
Oh, you have another opponent? Has it been announced yet?
It hasn't been announced. I'm surprised because my stuff usually leaks so fast. But I do have somebody, so we're gonna throw down, and you guys are gonna see a good fight.
That's great. So on that, so what is your current training regime in preparation?
Let's see. I guess kind of normal. I have normal would be in the morning. I have striking, kickboxing sessions with head coach John Wood. I have team practice, MMA team practice, where we do things like grappling, wrestling, MMA, like all MMA involved things. I have strength and conditioning twice a week. I do extra cardio on the sides, like run stairs and burpees and stuff like that. Sometimes I take grappling privates with a few coaches like Mike Pyle and Gunderson, but depending on my opponent. So I was taking some wrestling stuff for Tatiana, but I took a break. I also had a jiu-jitsu match, so I was preparing for that, but now I'm all into preparing for the MMA fight.
Yep. Awesome. So you've been training so long with all these different things that you're doing. Is there anything you particularly enjoy these days? Like what sort of section of all these different bits of training do you actually enjoy?
Always jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu.
Always jiu-jitsu. I really don't like striking and strength and conditioning. And that's really 1/3, 2/3 of my training. But oh well, that's the way it goes. So I love jiu-jitsu. And
it's kind of interesting because that's what people are saying that you've developed in is your striking and your strength. So you must have been really pushing on it, but it's something you don't like. Don't like as much. So it's quite interesting, right?
Yeah, I take great pride in that. The fact that I don't like it, but I work really hard at it to get better.
Yeah, actually, I like kind of your what comes across in your interviews, etc., is your work ethic, and that's sort of something that resonated with me, which isn't the same thing, but it is in a way. Is talking about. I know 100 people have said, so what about COVID? What's happening with it? I know you've talked about it before, but what resonated with me was the part of staying positive and having goals and achieving goals, and I think that that's shown what you said, working through things that you don't want to do, etc. And I think that I love that positive side of your sort of ethos. It's good. Beautiful.
Yeah. Also, I just thought of something else. In addition to having goals, it's important to look back on things and recognize the positive things you did. For example, today I had a very rough sparring session and I went away man, I suck. I'm very disappointed in myself, blah, blah, blah. And my friend Serena messaged me and said, hey, you okay? By the way, and I told her, and she's like, by the way, don't forget it. You hit me with this and this and this and this. And I'm like, oh yeah. So then I kind of felt better about it, because I had this, because we all have different perspectives and sometimes we forget to give ourselves credit for the positive things. So I think that we, not even just fighters, but everybody in our daily lives, when we're feeling bummed out, sometimes need to take a look at what we did and realize hey, you did something great, or you worked hard, or you achieved something, and also help your friends realize that as well. I think that's a positive thing. I just wanted to throw that in there.
No, 100%.
That today was an experience. So
100%. Your own your own perspective on things is very important because, like you said, we shape our whole feeling just on our own brain, and we don't even see the real picture. Like
And
you,
we're not
like,
always correct. Like sometimes we need other people to point out, like, hey, you're skewed a little bit in there. Like, remember this.
yeah, 100%. Like, you know, and sometimes you film yourself and like you said, you have a bad session. You're like, oh, I suck. And then you go and look at it and you think, man, I wasn't too bad. That was like one or two bad things, but I did pretty well. Yeah. Yeah. It
Right.
can be skewed by your own negativity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So having trained and now competed for so long, I mean, you've got such a long experience, extensive experience of training and everything. Just want to know, like, what are the key sort of learnings and whatnot you've had along the way, Roxanne? I know it's a big question, but just wondering, as a lifetime martial artist.
I feel like stuff goes in my brain and then comes out again, and I'm like, oh, and then more stuff comes in. So I feel like I got to keep jamming it in there. Like, it's just, I don't know. I remember when I fought Andrea Lee, my coach John was telling me to do this takedown. He showed me this takedown and I said, wow, that's amazing. I've never seen that. He's like, Roxy, you did this before. I'm like, no, I didn't. So he brought up like Fight Pass and showed me like I did this takedown like 4 years ago. I was like, ah. So I just got to keep repeating it. And like, I have some techniques that I'll never forget because I do them all the time, but I feel like it's a constant battle to just friggin' remember everything that I've done.
Yeah, I'm in my mid 40s. I have trouble remembering things like names of people and where the keys are and stuff. The techniques are all beyond me now. Hey, I just also I've seen things about your experience starting with Taekwondo, Kempo, blah blah, but I don't actually know how you first became wanting to even do these type of arts. What was it that drew you to that?
The Power Rangers.
For real?
They were cool. They were awesome. They were the good guys. So I wanted to do some kind of like, fight the bad guy thing. So I started karate, like Taekwondo, Kempo karate. And then I decided I didn't want to be violent anymore. Violence was wrong. So my mom was like, oh, all right. And she found judo, which is like throwing grappling martial arts. So that's kind of how I got into that. So basically the superheroes got me wanting to start martial arts.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I'm sure people have said it before, but you seem like an unlikely character to be a hardcore mixed martial artist. You know, taking people out. I was just before you came on, I was watching your fight with Macy Barber. So it's a very violent fight, right? And you did so well in that fight. And just thinking, the character I'm sitting here talking to now, it seems so far removed from the character in the ring. Like, do you feel like you're a bit of an unusual character to be in that sport that you've taken up?
Absolutely. I'm very bizarre.
You know, like the kind of the normal person you expect to be doing MMA is some tough criminal brawler or something, you know what I mean? That's just like the kind of picture people have. And then you come in like this very intelligent, happy sort of person who also likes to, or kind of gets something out of getting in the ring and fighting people.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you feel like when you get into the ring? What is your psychological feeling and processes out of interest?
It's so interesting. I feel like I'm in another dimension, honestly. Like all my emotions clear out. I never feel anything, no anger, no excitement, no sadness, like nothing. Just pure thought and just pure like kind of clearness. Like I try not to think. Like if my brain starts thinking actual thoughts, it distracts me. So I just kind of stare at my opponent and try to like relax my mind. And I like to think of it kind of Jedi like, no emotions, clear of emotions. And then just react and try to let my body reactions take over.
Yeah, that's what people recommend, right? Being totally free in there and just letting your body act on whatever you've learned, and obviously following basic game plans. But yeah, it sounds like the way to go. But everyone does generally get caught up in emotions. What about before the fight and everything? Or weeks before, do you still have feelings of nerves, etc.? Because you're very experienced. Obviously, it will be less than before, but
actually, I feel like it's more than it used to be. Like, really? I feel like there's more at stake now, and it just depends on the fight. Like, if I fight a rival or a rematch, I kind of have the previous fight hanging over my head a little bit. Or like when I first got into the UFC, I was terrified of losing a fight because I thought I'd be cut because they were like cutting people so fast, like back in the day, more so. And the place is different too. Like when I went to Abu Dhabi, that whole experience was really hard. So that just added to the stress of the fight. But I think now I'm less worried about being cut per se, but I just want to win my next fight because I lost the last one. So it's always different, but it's pretty intense.
Yeah. And how long do you expect to be continuing to fight, just till until you don't feel like doing it anymore, or what's your sort of thoughts on it?
I have a lot of thoughts. I'm not going to share them all, but I am getting tired of getting hit in the head. So we shall see. I'm gonna go out there and fight this one, and then see what happens.
And you talk about getting hit in the head. Personally, I felt like I'm only an amateur, like enthusiast. So I've been training a long time and fighting some stand up when I'm younger, and I feel like it actually affected me a bit, getting punched in the head in competition, in training, etc. Do you feel like it's affected you at all?
I think that since my base is grappling throughout the years, I've been fortunate in that I haven't taken as much brain damage as I could have if I were like a striker. I have had concussion problems in the gym before when I used to go with certain people who hit harder. And now I try to like be careful who I train with, who are not gonna hit me too hard. Of course, accidents happen and some people get excited and stuff happens, but like I have had times where I got rocked in training and then the next day I got hit again and I like got dizzy. I was like, oh, so I had to take like a week off from striking. Now I'm pretty good. It's a delicate balance and you got to be really careful. And I promised myself, like, if I ever started having like major concussion issues, I would quit right away. But so far I'm still good, but I'm trying to not push it too hard.
Yeah, I was thinking that when I was watching some of your interviews, that you speak so clearly and you come across like someone that hasn't ever done this sort of sport, which is a good thing because some people aren't like that with the extensive experience that you have.
The Cleveland Clinic did tests. Actually, I don't know if you've heard of the Cleveland Clinic, but they're doing a study on fighters in Vegas. So actually, I think it was like 4 years ago or 5 years ago, they brought me in for study and they gave me a free MRI and I needed that to register. So I went and I did the test. And they like tested my balance. Like I had to stand on one foot with my eyes closed. I had to do a memory test, which was sucky because my memory already sucks, like even without the brain damage or whatever. And then they've actually been emailing me. Actually, they emailed me like a few weeks ago, like, "Hey, come back for your checkup," because they want to like see how the fighters are progressing. And I've been ignoring them, but I think I think this year I might go back and see how it goes because they do scans on the brain and they test stuff, so it's important stuff.
And your style kind of seems to try to avoid getting hit. Obviously, it's unavoidable to get hit, but your movement, you're obviously working on moving your head a lot and moving your feet a lot as well. And then obviously you enjoy the clinch and the grapple, so your style kind of minimizes that a little bit, right?
Let's wrestle.
Exactly. Actually, I was just watching again. Like I've watched you for many years, obviously, but just watching again today while I was waiting and just you've got such a tight clinch, man. Like you really, really, really tight on the ground, really able to smash people against the fence and just maintain that closeness in the grapple. It's quite good to watch, man. Well done.
Thank you.
Hey, also scrolling through your history, I see a few different injuries popping up as far as the fights go. What sort of injuries have plagued you over your career?
Man, seriously?
Yeah.
I've had bulging disc in my back, in my neck. Those are pretty good now. I think they're fine. I think I tore something in my knee in Japan, but I never got it checked out and now it's better. Let's see. Patellar tendinosis, which is the inflammation of the ligament under the patella. I hurt my meniscus, had to have surgery on that. Bursa inflammation on both my elbows. Like every time I hit something, it swells up. Let's see, bicipital tendonitis on my shoulders, ligament damage on the top of my foot. But yeah.
So basically all the joints, all the joints in your body, basically all the movable joints.
Pretty much. I think I got most of it. Got tons of like 24 corneal abrasions in my career, but only a few of those are bothering me now. So it's all good.
It seems that everyone that's trained some sort of grappling and striking arts for so long has lots of these injuries. Do you recommend anything? So it's like you're trying to be healthy, but it makes you not healthy at the same time, right? What would you recommend for people like even the casual amateur enthusiasts as myself for maintaining sort of safety of the body and minimizing this sort of injuries? Any recommendations?
Oh my God, it just came in. I would take glucosamine. It's a good joint supplement.
Yep.
Regularly, I take, a dose a day. And then just icing stuff is good too. Like whether it's injured or not, like if you feel like, oh, I did a lot of takedowns, I bumped my knees a lot today, just ice them, reduce inflammation. Um, Other than that, don't do MMA.
That's true. So, with all, I mean, over your history, you've experienced big changes in the way people train and everything, and now there's so many changes with your strength and conditioning, rest and recovery, etc. You just mentioned the that you can ice things. Do you do all the new sort of fangled things of sauna and ice baths and etc. for recovery?
I do. Yeah, I feel like I'm a step behind always, but yeah, I started ice bathing a number of years ago. That's awesome. I hate the sauna, so I'm not doing that. But yeah, just ice bath, hot tub. Cryo is not as helpful as an ice bath.
Oh, really?
But I haven't done the laser. What is it? The infrared beds. I heard those are good, but I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, and on talking about the changes, strength and conditioning. I heard you saying that it's important and that's helped you or something. And then I have like lots of conflicting things. You like John Donaher saying that people should just concentrate on the skills. A couple other people, Steve Maxwell, kind of saying the same thing, that the best thing to train is the training itself, that because you're developing the skill rather than doing something alternative when you really need the skill. But you obviously find the benefit in strength and conditioning, right?
I wonder if it depends on the body type, because I would love to just do technique all the time, but I just fell apart doing that. And I really was able to continue with martial arts by doing strength conditioning. And then you have, so natural athletes who can just build muscle super easily. Maybe they can go do a jujitsu session, eat a lot of meat and like bulk up. But like me, I forget, ectomorph, like I forget what body type it is, but I have trouble gaining muscle. So I have to like actually friggin' lift weights to get strong. I can't just train. It just wears on my joints. So maybe it depends on the body type.
So you feel it supports your body, your frame, and for the sport, right? Building muscle and being stronger.
Yeah, I have to do extra training.
Yeah. I was thinking about it. I was actually talking with a friend yesterday. I think the idea behind them is that if you've only got X amount of time and you want to get to, like, let's say you want to be a black belt like Modafferi, you have to work towards a skill set first rather than working on the side things that'll distract you from that end goal, right? So I think it depends on what your ultimate goal is. Is it to pick up as many skills as possible to take in the fight with you, or is it important to build up your frame to be stronger? So.
Maybe also if you want to go compete, then you're going to face a lot of like physically strong people in addition to skilled people. So if you want to compete, you better go lift some weights. But if you just care about being in the gym, then you don't have to bother.
True. And then jumping back I was asking your recommendations about training. I see that you're training children as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do a little bit of training with kids, just stand-up stuff as well. And cool. Just want to know like what you feel is a good or the best sort of martial art for kids, like if as an overall thing to be healthy and to actually learn some realistic defense.
I think there's probably room for both of them, both kickboxing and jiu-jitsu. I started in Taekwondo, so I don't want to diss anybody. I enjoyed doing the forms, but probably, kickboxing has merit, but also jiu-jitsu as well. Like I just taught them grips and grip breaks. Yeah. And I watched one of my 6-year-old girls go with a 6-year-old boy. He was bigger though, like he was really strong. And she like ripped that grip out. I told them basically one person has to hold on and like re-grip if the grip is broken, and the other person has to just break the grips and run like across the room. Yeah. She was like breaking grips and running, and he was chasing her. It was like kind of realistic. I was like, wow, like she's gonna be able to get away from bullies now. So I mean, I think maybe, I don't know, jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, actually, I've got a 6-year-old, and the other day I grabbed him with a double wrist grab, and he just did the wrist break that he's been shown in jiu-jitsu. I'm like, yes, how good is that?
Yeah,
naturally too. Didn't think about it, so that's awesome. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, true. So I'm living in a foreign country. I'm an Australian living in China. I want to know about your experiences in Japan. I've been there a few times as well. Interesting culture, nice place to visit. How did you find it over there?
That was so great. I loved it so much. I wish I could have still lived there. I love the culture. I love the people. I tried really hard to fit in, really hard to be a good little Japanese person. And I love the food. It was just awesome. People were nice. Like, it was great.
Yeah. As far as the training side of things, how different is it training in Japan versus training in the States?
They were delayed, so like when America made advances in training methods and like ice baths and conditioning and stuff, like they were still doing 300 push-ups as conditioning, and like just sparring in MMA class instead of like doing guided drills and things like that. I think it's catching up now. I think it's caught up a lot.
Yeah.
I don't live there anymore, so I'm not 100% sure, but it was good that I moved back to. I was plateauing before when I was over there, and then when I moved back, I started improving. So.
Yep. And you competed over there too, right? Obviously. Stupid question. Yeah. Hey, there's a few of the guys I've talked to have been on shows over there, and the audience was so appreciative of fighting and so massive. Did you fight any other shows there that were big?
I didn't get on like a massive show. I think only like Megumi Fuji and a few others got to be on like Ryzen or like one of the huge Pride ones, not Pride, but like those type of ones. I think nowadays they're having females, but back when I was fighting, like there was female fighting and then there was male fighting, and we had our own little division, and then we fought on like a lot of smaller shows. So, we had some audience, but not like thousands.
Yep. And it was kind of strange in the old days. I used to go to like run to the shop and get little VCDs of the fights from Japan that were coming over. It wasn't shown obviously in the 90s, to like it wasn't shown on mainstream TV, etc. And I noticed even then the Japanese public seemed to be appreciative of ground fighting, whereas the Western public, it's taken time, and even now people are still not 100% appreciative of ground fighting. Yeah, exactly. Like, ooh.
Yeah.
So what are your feelings on that? It's kind of interesting, right? Like that the Japanese public kind of appreciate it a little bit more. They seem to, or maybe they're more polite.
They're definitely more polite.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think if there's any roots in judo, or I don't know, but I would just probably say that it's probably more polite.
Yeah.
They're not going to boo.
Yeah. Hey, so like I said, watching a couple of your fights, I feel like that Barber one was a great example of your evolution. The power. You dropped her on a jab, man, and then you were just destroying her in the second round. What would you say it would be your best sort of performance in the ring that you feel?
I think my favorite fight is my fight against Nico Montano for the UFC belt, and I actually did not win that one, but that was the most I've ever thrown down. Like, we actually made a record in the UFC for a number of significant strikes thrown. It was like 800 and something.
Wow.
We were both just trying to knock each other out the whole time, and I fought so hard and I just didn't stop. I felt like I had all the energy. So I was really proud of myself for that one, despite not having won.
That's awesome. And talking about the competition, what's your what do you think the benefits of fighting and competing in like competitive combat sports? What do you think people can gain from that?
They gain a lot of self-discipline. You have to prepare properly, and when you put your heart and soul into it, like, you get really focused. So it teaches you a lot of focus and determination. On the downside, you're crushed if you don't win.
Yeah.
But it's a challenge, and you grow from it.
Yeah. And I'm just interested in what sort of guidance or key sort of messages would you have for people that are starting or competing in the early stages, young up and comers, especially women that are fighting? What's your sort of key messages?
I would say just be aware of what it takes. Like, it can be lonely. You got to focus. If you want to get to the top, you really got to focus all of yourself on that goal. When other fighters who want to win are going to be home early at 9 every night sleeping, you can't go partying until 3 a.m. all the time. And I was single for so long. I'm 38 now. I have a boyfriend, but single like forever. It's hard, but find a good team, find a lot of other like-minded people to train with, make friends. It's great to train with friends. And then you can trust them with your body because you're training together. You want to trust your teammates with your body. So I would say find a good coach, a good team, and rock on, dude.
It's amazing the camaraderie that comes from training different types of martial arts, especially I find the Brazilian jiu-jitsu is really somehow there's some sort of bond that gets created through jiu-jitsu, right? That you can't really, it's hard to explain to someone that hasn't trained before.
Indeed, yeah, it's got to be something with the physical contact. But I agree, like jiu-jitsu specifically has like a different kind of bond compared to other martial arts, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to also ask you, like, you take the Roxanne from before you started anything really, and then you bring the Roxanne now. What would be the main thing that you've developed over this time and that's changed you through the martial arts? Like, what is it? Pride in yourself, strength as a person, etc. What sort of things would be the key sort of things you've gained yourself?
I'm not sure how to answer.
A lot of physical skill, obviously. Do you feel like you have a confidence that you didn't have before, or not?
I think it's actually the opposite. I feel like I'm more disillusioned now. Like I used to believe that if I just trained my brains out and I tried so hard, I could win. Like I want it so bad. It's like, well, actually they're also training hard and they also want to win.
Yep.
And you can lose, like no matter how hard you try, sometimes you just lose because the opponent's in front of you. Like now I know I'm never going to be like number one in the world, and it's sad, so I think, I kind of lost a little confidence, so to speak.
Really amazing. And but what about your ability to drive through and persist through things, etc.? It must have been something you developed over this, man. The amount of hours you put into lots of your things as far as training and achieving goals, getting a black belt, learning Japanese, all these different things that you've done all over the years. You must feel like that's a big part of your life. Yeah.
Yes, I set a goal. When I set a goal, I make a plan to plan out the steps necessary to reach that goal. So I mentally know what I need to do, and I don't let any emotion get in the way. I don't need motivation because I have those goals. If I'm tired or sad or whatever, who cares? Like I have these steps, I know I have to do them. So I proceed to make efforts to do them. So when I train in the day, I know what I'm capable of. So I need to be able to go home and sleep at night knowing that I did everything that I could. And, even now, like that's my goal. Like every day I have things that I want to accomplish or try to accomplish. And, I force myself to do them and so that I can feel good about myself. And that is my martial arts way.
Yeah, that's good. It also kind of falls into the Japanese way a bit about structuring and having steps towards a goal, etc. Right? I've talked to a few guys that are very entrenched in Japanese culture, and they kind of have the same answer usually: steps to the goal, and progressing systematically. Yeah. Just a couple of quick questions. So, talking about that UFC 266, are you going to be on the same card?
Yes. September 25th. It's the day after my birthday.
Awesome. So you have to win for your birthday. Right. Just wanted to ask your opinions on a couple of the fights. I hope that you have some idea of Diaz versus Lawler. Any thoughts on this particular matchup of the old fellas getting back to it?
Oh man, exciting fight. It's gonna be exciting. They're both super tough. Diaz is a gangster, but I think maybe Robbie. I'm a fan of his, so. It's
hard to be away for so many years and then come back and perform it at a high level. We'll see how Diaz goes. And the other one, the Volkanovski versus Ortega. What are your thoughts on that one?
I've been watching The Ultimate Fighter, and I've been gotten to know the guys a little bit more. So I don't know. I think they're both excellent fighters. It's a throw up. Like whoever just fights the better fight, I guess.
And who do you want to win out of those two after watching some of The Ultimate Fighter?
Oh man, I'm not sure. I was such an Ortega fan. I didn't really know a lot about Volkanovski. Now I'm getting to like him. I don't know. Don't ask me.
Just pick the Aussie. I'm Aussie as well, so I'm going for Volkanovski. Go Volk. Yeah. Anyway. Cool. Yeah. All right. So Roxanne, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it, and all the best for your upcoming fight, and of course the future as well. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.